Yes, everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well, if not deflated from yesterday. That's the point of today. Today is very much a therapy session. Work through it again. History repeating itself. Because Thursday is still Thursday, and it's a game which you never know. You never know in it. Oh, and there'll be 60,000 West Ham fans there. It's going to be a great occasion, and I just hope we see a bit of fight. That's what I want. I want us to show. I want the team to show. I want the backroom staff to show. I want to show a bit of passion, to show something. In terms of passion, in terms of showing something, what about Football Prizes? Football Prizes has its biggest ever competition with a Lucas Paquetá signed and custom LED framed West Ham shirt with inbuilt TV. Wow. For just $3.95. Obviously, we partner with Football Prizes. Also, there are 25 instant win prizes, including hospitality tickets to the last home game of the season, Luton Town, James Ward-Prowse signed shirt, Edson Alvarez signed shirt, and a Jared Bowen signed poster. I'll put the link in the chat. But have a look. Have a look and check that out if you want to get involved with that. Let's go for some comments. Obviously, fantastic news. Anton put out a very quick video this morning. Actually, no, Anton had a bit of a rant this morning, but about 10 o'clock he put out. Obviously, the club announced that George is out of hospital, which is fantastic news. And there'll be. We're actually not following the protocols as such, because I think protocols are something like 6 to 10 days. It's because of the severity, it's going to take a couple of weeks for George to get back. I would assume that would mean he'd probably miss out for the remaining league games in the under-21s, but could be back for the knockouts or playoff stages, which start off in May. So, which is good news. Let's go for some comments. Let's see what we got. Afternoon, Russell family. 9 points to be competitive. Can't see whether you can get a bad day at the office, or was it a good day at the beach versus Fulham? Where to begin? Firstly, I don't agree with the narrative that that we can't put blame on players as well. Yes, we can blame Moyes, definitely. And proverbially, we have done, because of lack of squad depth, because of just lack of inability in terms of changing tactically what we can do. But I was reading something the other day where people, I think it was Gio actually in Amber's chat said he criticised Paquetá and got hounded. Paquetá hasn't been very good the last few games. I think he's been very petulant. I think also that, if I was Pep, I'd be a bit worried about buying him in the summer, because he kicks out and he does lose a lot of ball. Doesn't mean he doesn't do great things, but he hasn't played very well recently. There's nothing bad about that. We criticise everyone. We criticise Moyes for making errors and people say, it's because he was tired. He's a professional football player as well. I'm not putting all the blame for this on Moyes. I'm putting the players need to show some sort of. Yesterday I didn't think there was seen anyone who wanted to win the game, from our perspective, with the exception, I think, of Thomas Souček. Thomas Souček came on and he wanted to have a go and he wanted to get involved. George, bless him, wanted to come on and have a go. But I think, just wasn't. We came out, and as I said, I think we were flat. I think the fans are flat now. The players are flat. Thursday, we might not win the game. Thursday might not go through. We might win the game. We might do. We might scrape a 1-0, which may give us, as Michael said, we still have 5 Premier League games left. There's still 15 points to play for. Liverpool will probably be out of the title race by the time we've played them at our gaff. City might have had the title won by then. We've still got great play Crystal Palace. We've got to play Luton. Palace, obviously they got their first win, so they've got that monkey off their back, so to speak. So, look, until I start singing the old fat lady, we'll see what happens. After the Maltese, after the unusual. Oh, well, no, Europe we'll be out of Europe this season. I don't want to be negative, but we only have ourselves to blame, players and management. Yeah, fair play. I think we need... There's quite a blasé attitude about not being in Europe now. We're set up to be a European side now in terms of our wages, in terms of what we're spending. And so we do need to be, there needs to be, whatever happens on Thursday. I mean, in a weird way, losing on Thursday, getting knocked out of Europa League means we can just concentrate on trying to get as many points in the Premier League as possible. There's no excuses. There's 5 games left after Thursday. We're not playing 2 games. If a miracle happens, the miracle at London Stadium, they will call it, and we do knock out Bayern Munich, then so be it. But I can't really see it, to be honest. Good news on Earthy. Hope he has to I think he's going to have like 3 weeks off. I think they're giving him. Good afternoon, Russ. Good afternoon, Greeno. All too predictable, tired and lazy. Looked like played a team thrown together Sunday morning. Good shout. Great shout. I think for me, the thing that disappointed me the most was, we've played 2 game weeks and yes, there was a number of those players who played on Thursday and on Saturday and on Sunday, but just didn't feel desire. Do you know? I didn't feel like, and I'll talk about it again. The whole Earthy thing really wound me up. Not for Earthy's sake, but the reaction of our captain. Now, we might not like Declan Rice for what he did. If Declan Rice was captain yesterday, do you think he'd be sat there chatting and laughing and talking with the opposition players when George was there getting treatment? No. He'd be over there. Or it'll be pulling, or he'll be doing something. He'll be putting the team together and having a team or something like that. There was nothing. And I think for all the great players, and doesn't matter who we buy in the summer and who goes and who comes, we do need, and I think we do need some real good stewardship in terms of captainship. I really do think that. And it might not be, even for us fans, having someone who's going to shout and we miss Craig Dawson. We miss Declan Rice in terms of that leadership. We do. Yes, we've got a better team technically now, but you still need that. People talk about Aston Villa. Aston Villa still at John McGinn. Still at John McGinn in there shouting, dragging people in and doing stuff. You still need that. Brighton of all the great players, James Milner, they've got Lallana. They've still got those experienced players in there. And I think but it's having the right players, not necessarily experienced players, but the right players. I just don't think the balance is right at all. Needs real looking at. Think we're out, Russ. Miles to go to Bing. That's what I mean. I wouldn't mind us, even if it's just have a go on Thursday. Do you know what I mean? It's a great opportunity to reset for the last 5 games. It's like 5 cup finals after Thursday. But let's get Thursday and have a good, and not get hammered, but put in a really good performance and prove to the fans that you care for that shirt. Or you care for the fans. Even if you don't care for the shirt, you care for the fans. Moyes couldn't get his team up to fight a paper bag. But, Chris, there is, albeit, regardless, we've heard before that some, there was it the fight back? It was the Arsenal game or something like that? They were saying, it was because the players took it upon themselves to do it. Why haven't the players taken it upon themselves in the last few games then? It's not, I'm not defending David Moyes, but what I'm saying is the players got to take some responsibility as well. Surely they do. It's not a clean slate for them guys. It really isn't. And, there is professional integrity as well. For all the, in essence, Moyes is, these guys have, seasoned professionals. If it was a bunch of kids, I could understand it. But it's still get youthful enthusiasm rather. You have, if it's not Moyes, then Kevin Nolan's there, Mark Noble's there. There's guys hanging around who know what it means to be a West Ham, to play against Spurs and all this type of stuff. I don't agree with that necessarily, mate. I think the players themselves have to take that responsibility. And if they've done it before, apparently, because it wasn't, because they decided to go against what Moyes did and got the result and do it again. Why not do it again? I don't know. Some of these players take a hard. I totally agree. Play that on Thursday, going to get hammered. I agree. Up to 7th. Why are we loaning our players? Don't forget, Leon bought about 5 players in January, and Ben Rama was one of them. So they completely they used the January transfer window because they were floundering. That's why they had to get so many players on loan, because players didn't necessarily always come to them as such because they were so down the bottom. But yeah, I agree. We'll go for all the loan spells later on. Afternoon, Stefan, from a sunny, but it's all for the weather, isn't it? It's so interchangeable. I had sun, I've had monsoons, I've had wind. It's mental. Yesterday made me want this season finished. Draw a line in the sand. A new team and a new manager is required. Head coach, please change it. We're not going to be a new manager. The next person going forward will be a head coach, and that is a massive, massive, really step change, which I think people don't get into their heads yet. Whatever happens next year, we have a head coach. We do not have a manager. And that is a big difference. It might just sound a word difference, but it is massively different. Great news. It is indeed. Too predictable. We said that one already. Drifted like a rudderless ship towards the end of the season. I wonder who'll be on the bench on Thursday instead of Earthy. Orford, whatever, it's plenty. It's Dark Cloud, Moyes Cloud hanging over on Thursday. Patman was rubbish. Fought for both goals. And what annoyed me about that, and again, I'm not just digging out Patman, but he lost the ball, and the first thing he did was put his hand up to say sorry, rather than run after and try and make amends. And that was the same true with Johnson. He didn't try. He jogged back, and Anton said the best about jogging. I watched it again because I was like, really? I watched the highlights again. I was there, and I watched the highlights, and they do jog back. They don't sprint back. Even Fulham was sprinting everywhere. They lost the ball. They were sprinting back to double up against Kudus. That's what surprised me. An afternoon, mate. Tops of the boys should give their all and leave everything on the pitch. Indeed, the board has to take responsibility for lack of squad depth. They tried to sign players and only signed. Again, I said, I'm not on the apprehension that we didn't go for anyone in January. I'm not on the apprehension that we thought our squad size was fine. I have no doubt that Tim, Sully, I have no doubt they went and tried to get his players in. But also, I have a massive thought, not thoughts of, I don't think the right word. The points deductions on Everton, was 10 points originally, had a massive, massive issue to play across the board, not just West Ham, but across the board. The Premier League shut up shop. In essence, they wanted to sell players, get rid of players off their books just to make sure they're okay. And I think that takes a massive... If it was like a normal season, but I mean, you can see that. I think in January, January last, season before last, I don't know, 900 million. It was loads spent in the Premier League. Last year, it was in January, just gone like 90. Absolutely nothing. Second goal, there were about 5 players responsible for not doing their basics. First goal, no idea what about Palace. Well, I could see what he was trying to do. He was trying to cushion the ball down and then play it off. But the thing was, he just made such a heavy touch. Players just pissed off as the fans. Shit football. I think some are definitely. Definitely. But on final, they'll smash us unless they're hungover. Let's hope so, my friend. It was a hat trick for Florian Wirtz, and one from Victor and one for Xhaka as well, I think. Clucked needs to go in as centre-back. Clucked? I don't know, sorry. Where he can tackle and clear. Was it Souček maybe? I'm trying to think of how that's auto changed. Better suited as his passing and scrapping midfield. Souček isn't put into midfield for his passing ability, is he? He's put into a bit for his physicality. As I said, Lewis Orford is head and shoulders above Souček in terms of technical prowess and technical ability, but he's way far down in terms of physicality for that particular role. Not Vince's role. Should send him back to City. He's still very wrong. We need a squad. That's the problem with NFL. You're right, and you're totally right. You're totally right. I mean, you look at Fulham. Fulham had a better squad than us yesterday by far. We had a better starting 11 on paper, I'd suggest, but Fulham had a better squad, and you can only get so far in terms of that. We've hit a ceiling. I genuinely think our squad depth has made us hit a ceiling. Yes, maybe getting rid of Fabian Fornals and Ben Rama. In hindsight, we all saw it would impact the squad depth. Again, we don't know the intricacies of that deal, of what happened. Same as Tilo Kira, you know what I mean? It's like, clearly the idea was we're getting people off the books, we're freeing up the wage bill. Whether that was because of PSR, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just thinking logically. There's a lot of football people in that club, a lot of football people, and for that to have happened, it's had a detrimental effect to the rest of our season. 13, 15, you could probably get away with that if you're just playing in the Premier League and you're not in Europe. So we may well have to do it next year. But hopefully we won't. We'll wait and see. Injuries and suspensions have killed us. But I mean, injuries, look at Newcastle. We've been lucky with injuries, in all honesty, touch wood, Ludders. You look at us compared to Newcastle, Liverpool, they've still survived and they've flourished. Suspensions, again, I think it's we know the likes of Alvarez will get suspensions. We know, to me, there wasn't even an argument of not playing Emerson or Paqueta on last Thursday. Because actually after this, if they got a yellow card on this Thursday, they wouldn't have been suspended because it's cleared for the semi-finals, I believe. And that would have made well, I suppose it would make sense because it would be even more defensive midfielders on the pitch. But yeah, our away record in Europe, loss next. Our record, play away, lose next. Yeah, that's been before. We lack leadership throughout the team. I agree. Russell seems so turn. It's stale. Stale's a good word. Good word. Why didn't Moyes check to see how? He did. If you look where it was, and again, that's the thing. I'm not. You saw it. He was on the other side. Moyes was there. They were all huddled over the. What can you? I'm not. And again, it's like I think sometimes we see everything with a anti-Moyes glaze, like on our eyes. For me, and people go, "Oh, the West Ham physios in run." It was on the Fulham side. If it happened on the West Ham side to a Fulham player, the West Ham medics would have been on there for the medic 24s. But the Fulham guys were there straight away because that's what they were. Marco Silva was on the touchline anyway, so he was Moyes and all of them, Vlad, they were all looking around the huddle. They were all huddled around the monitor trying to see what happened. There's nothing you can do when, and as soon as he saw Moyes get up and saw his family and Nolan was walking the family down there. So, and that's the trouble because one person says something and it spirals. There's no, and people are like, he doesn't care about his players. He does. I mean, yeah, maybe not a treatment of some of the players in terms of how they're developed in the squad, but as humans, yeah, didn't even give us no. He didn't when the camera came on because they were looking at the monitor. Then he did get up and it all sort of transpired, but people only see that and that's it. We haven't had a camp since number 4. Indeed, lost the fight. Glad to see his recovery. Moyes gives him another chance and looked good in the pitch. 21. He might get towards the end of the season. He might get on. Just trying to think when he could be back. He'll be back for early May, possibly. Oh, sorry, Darren. Says sweet FA as all sat on the bench while I was down. I think Silver reactions more than Moyes did. We have the captain. It's Noble. I agree. Get your season over and head coach. I'm gonna fine you £1 for every time someone says the new manager. It's a new head coach. I'm gonna fine you £1 and give it to the food banks. Have we got a better setup I'm sure, especially with management unsure, have we got a better team? On the pitch we do. On paper. I think on the paper. Not necessarily in the squad, but on paper, our squad, our 11 is better, I think, than Fulham's was, but not necessarily tactically or squad. Feels like he knows he's leaving. He's Leicester service can't be arsed attitude. Trouble is, Jason, if he has a can't be arsed attitude and he loses in the next 5 games, who's going to want to employ him? In it, unless he's got another one lined up, maybe. Don't know. We've got a good team, but not a good leader. Maybe you're going to make fun of me, but I think the current squad. I agree. I agree. I think Suchek's probably the best, to be honest. I think it probably is. And again, I hate goalkeepers being captains. I actually prefer midfielders being captains because they're around everywhere. So even the centre backs, Zuma's too far back. He's not going to run up and talk to the referee because he's not going to be able to get back in time. Do you know what I mean? And why don't you use? They're a total waste on the bench. Cornet's never going to get because Cornet's one injury away from being a insurance disaster. To be honest, Alvarez should be captain possibly, but then he's got to curtail his. He can't be suspended for 2-3 games a season. He can't be doing that. So yeah. I was going to say something, but I'll get shouted for it. They're knackered. It's clear. We certainly lack a leader. Not saying we would have won, but at least would have been. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like sometimes, as I said, there's certain times, like yesterday when Paqueta again, kicked out. He should have been sent off yesterday. He could easily have been sent off yesterday. Same happened on Thursday. All you needed was someone to grab him by the collar and say, look, calm the fuck down. But they don't. And that's the problem. And even if it means nothing to Paqueta, for us as fans, we don't feel like there's like a leader on the pitch. There might well be, but we don't see it. And that's the thing that frustrates me more than anything. Anyone really bothered Paqueta goes, he'll be a bench warmer, and the guy is literally. Sorry, lucky not being. Yeah, I totally agree. When he's on, I mean, he's a fantastic player when he's on form. When he's not on form, I mean, the way we're set up, he can, we know, and I mean, Moyes said, you tear your hair out. I get that. I'm similar to that sometimes. Sometimes he can be mesmeric, and sometimes he's an enigma player, isn't it? And I think if you can carry an enigma player, I think City can. Then that's great. When the type of football we play at the moment, we can't lose the ball very often because we don't get the ball very often. So there's not. I mean, you look at was it Wolves at home where he did 3 assists and won the game on his back. He can do that. Hasn't done it enough, but again, style of football might sort of curtail that ability to do that. He'll have more ball in a more progressive style of football, which means he can lose it, but percentage wise, he's not losing it as much as what he's doing now. A lot of players play like League 2 players. Russell cannot wait for the dinosaur to be gone. Wow. And we all know he's going to put my hands together the day. We all know wait. To be gone. We all know he's going. Put my hands together the day he goes into us to get new blood in. I know. I get the sentiment, Steve. I get the sentiment. I get it's a bit like it's a bit like a magic eye. I've got to try and put the pieces together in the sentence, but I know exactly what you mean, man. I think, as I said, I think we have hit a ceiling, and part of that, it's down to squad depth. You look at someone like City. They can compete on several fronts, successfully on several fronts, because they've got that squad depth, and also they've got the strength of manager because in terms of handling that. Because I think the ability to with a small squad. I mean, we've always seen this year, Fabianski gets drops in the Premier League from Premier League 11 and throws his toys out the pram. We know Said Benrahma's thrown his toys out the pram. We know Aged has thrown his toys out the pram, and it's having strength of character from a management perspective to sort that out and actually work with them rather than work against them. And having a small squad only gets you so far. I think you could probably get away with it in the Premier League, but if you want to be competing in Europe, if you want to be competing in the cups and stuff like that, you need a 16, 17 man first team squad and then the peripheral players around the side. But having the strength of character to keep that together and that unity together, that's the issue. Moyes will be gone. Moyes will be offered a new contract as head coach, and we all know he won't sign it. So bye. Okay, apparently, he's not. Mourinho's not coming, mate. Tired, mentally, physically, lacking motivation, the current plan, lacking depth, and the manager have created these conditions. Difference between head coach and manager, and what the other teams have, and what other teams have a head coach rather than a manager. Well, I mean, you can Google it and have a look at all the. In terms of definition, head coach, basically your job is to coach the side. You work in partnership with a director of football and you work together. But the director of football has the final say in terms of what happens. It's a very continental style. Someone like Arnie Slot at Feyenoord, he's a head coach. He works with a director of football and they implement a philosophy and they work together on that philosophy. But Arnie Slot reports to the director of football. Same as, look at Bayern Munich, for example. You've got a similar situation. They've got a director of football and they've got a head coach. So they have the ability to get rid of Thomas Tuchel and they can bring someone else in. Do you know what I mean? So it's a more sort of work-based approach, really. If you don't perform based on your criteria, you're out of your job, and it's a bit more. It's a bit. I think it would work with us better. I've refused to go since the Wolves, but lost the appetite of Moyes. Don't think we're this. No, he'll get the Newcastle job when Eddie Howe gets chucked out eventually. Head coach needs results, but indeed we were static. They scored when they were making runs. Think you're right, Russ. He keeps that up. City won't want him. I know. Can't see wanting to spend a fortune. He goes out too easy, giving the ball away too many years. I mean, but that being said, maybe in a more technically better side, people see the runs a bit more, and so he's not forcing things. I mean, you can look at it each way. Fulham were very good. Very good 7-0 aggregate against us now. They have some real good players. They've got some real good squad players. In the 92nd minute, I'll just bring on Brozier. You didn't want him. We're going to throw him on now. And Adama Traore, it's like, fucking hell. I agree. Thank you very much. Wanted McTominay. Didn't want Kudus. We don't, again, Steve, with the whole thing about didn't want Kudus and Alvarez, they were presented to Tim, and they were then bought. So clearly, and if Moyes had and again, let's talk about rhetoric. If Moyes had the final veto on any transfers, he didn't veto Kudus and Alvarez. They both came here. So you can't say he didn't want him. That's what I mean. Sometimes we take it, we think everything's gospel. We don't know what goes on. We see 90 minutes and that's it. To be honest, I think sometimes, I'll be fair, sometimes I think a Maguire would have been useful for us. Not necessarily on the pitch, but just some fucking British grit in that centre-back positions. You know what I mean? We've missed that Craig Dawson appeal. I always thought it was, the Zuma and Aged made Dawson play better. No. Dawson made them play better. What about Arnie Slot? Yep, great manager. Pound to John for head coach. Plays a good style. We done a show about him ages ago. I mean, there's guys out there, but it's picking the right one. And whoever we pick, there's not going to be one manager we pick that everyone will agree with. I guarantee. People like Will Steele, very inexperienced outside of Liga. Yes, he's a West Ham fan, and he's had a good run. Not so good this year. Okay this year. Paulo Fonseca, very experienced, but he wasn't doing nothing until he went to Shakhtar Donetsk, and he won the treble 3 years running. Is it treble 3 years? Which he should do anyway. Okay at Roma, plays okay. He's playing okay at Lille. So that's something. Graham Potter hasn't had a job since leaving Chelsea. Hasn't been linked to any job since Chelsea. Jose Mourinho, proverbial winner, but we tried that with Pellegrini. It didn't work, and his style of football will piss people off very, very quickly. So everyone, Michael Carrick, West Ham Academy, a little bit of experience, but maybe not experience enough. So literally everyone we get is going to be pros and cons. We messed up the odd dealing with the wrong agent, which delayed us when we should have moved on. That's what we've been led to believe, if he was really that interested, we would have got him. If there was real interest, we would have got him in the summer, like Brighton did. So again, I can't read everything, verbatim that comes out on Twitter or gets, same as us. We sort of talk about rumours all the time, but we make a point they're rumours, and until there is their, in a social media video, with all good cuts and stuff, they've never signed for West Ham. Indeed, we certainly do. Leverkusen we're having let's hope so. The players have to fight for the badge. Totally agree. I know I'm going through. I'm just trying to go through all the comments now. Kind of embarrassing when you're losing and bring on Souček and Johnson. Luke, nice to see him out of your role. Nice to see it. Fulham had 11. West Ham had a team. Fulham had a team. West Ham had 11 individuals. He's a really poor football player, which is worrying. He looked really crap without him yesterday for the first half. It's one of those days, nothing went our way. All second balls went astray. And again, the trouble is, as I said, our whole strategy is around how well a 34-year-old plays up front. If Antonio's on it, we play well as a side. And, again, hindsight, if my granny had bollocks, she'd be my uncle. If we'd nailed that goal first half, we were on, it might have been enough just to carry that going. We never know. Same as the Leverkusen game. A quick goal then would have changed, when we had the first decent chance. Whether he should have buried it rather than pass it to Kadu. If buts and maybes, it's a new badge for us. I spent in January an incoming lineup and fell through, so we tried to pull the plug. Yep, I totally agree. Or we had a couple, and I reckon they pulled through. So I reckon because it's like buying a house, isn't it? It's like a chain, a domino. We don't know what the 3 steps are in front of us. Again, we don't know. Just knew we missed those first couple that they could bite us back in the bum. I'm just going by what I heard. Didn't see the highlights and bad. Is Glacier. Great word. There'll be a deep valley carved out by JWV and CJ. It's not losing. It's making other teams like Man City. I thought Fulham were very good for the win, and they deserve to win. Hi, Ross. Hi, Dave. Do we have the right to know whether we'll be manager before? Yeah, he pays your money, he takes your choice, isn't it? Really. We know that if I'm right, the renewal date would be before the end of the contract. Am I right? I think so. I think Sean said something about that recently. Yeah, I think you should. Because actually now, although the philosophy of what happens is going to be run by Tim, who's there and who's staying by all accounts. So the philosophy will be the same because it permeates down from him. It seems to be doing like this. So from the academy upwards, they play a 3-4-3, high press, very attacking style of football, 18s, 21s, and then we don't on the first team. So it doesn't make sense. Was scared and gutless with the tactics. Looked at the Atlanta window, brave and went for it. Never happens though, does it? He hasn't done it for 1,000 games. He ain't going to change it for that. Get one game. Sorry, but when is a penny going to drop? We keep losing players. Moyes waste of time for the last 2 seasons. Players total. Could be back last. Are we talking about George Earthy? Sorry, I'm zooming around everything. New head coach is in line to national wrestling speaks. So stays, yeah, basically. And despite what people say, I genuinely think he has been offered. There is a head coach contract to be signed, but he doesn't want to sign it. And I thought it was almost like he wants to win the Europa League or wants to finish in the top 6 to give him enough negotiation for them to change that contract. But that would mean potentially losing someone like Tim Steindon. So I think if he does say, it will be as a head coach. But I think the chances are, unless he wins the Europa League, he's not staying. Can you put your season ticket if your game wasn't? Can you put it on if the game hasn't sold out? If you can't, I have no idea. It was great. Does the new head coach get free buses? Indeed. Thanks for the stream. Thank you for Vibe. Vibe, hope you well. It's in the players' DNA. They're always going to be booked. The season's a minor mirror image 2 years ago. Squad desperately needed, and there was only one commentator. Please get him gone this summer. Fans need to see a noble like player having a word. Exactly, Garino. And every side, despite the fact, even City, someone like Rodri, he can sit there and put it on someone. They've got Carl Walker, who's a real good ranter. You know what I mean? And you need that player. And you need that sort of bit of a bastard as well. We're too nice. Bayer Leverkusen got Paqueta booked because they were all over him. We are far too nice in that respect. We don't properly shout at the referee. On the bench we do. Nolan's always up. But on the pitch we don't. Oh, no, Brazilian sulky and dramatic. Needs to sort his head out. It isn't all about him. We've missed Bowen. Yeah, we have. Sorry, itchy back. Right, let's go through a few. Prefer Payet over Paqueta. Is this Russ does spent over 400 players under David Howe? Well, yeah, we do have, we do have one of the oldest squads. And I think part of the reason is because we hang on to players. Fabianski aside, why is Cresswell still at the club? Why is Ogbonna still at the club? These guys are over 30. That dramatically already, plus the fact we've got a 39-year-old reserve goalkeeper, that dramatically increases our squad age. The smallest squad, I agree. I think it's almost been, and it's been the wrong attitude. We've been bringing players who we think can improve the first 11. To be honest, we need some bench fillers. We need some game changers who are going to come on the bench. Now, in terms of spent, I think we spent about the 7th, 8th most, and we have about a similar wage bill in terms of against the rest of the Premier League. So we're pretty much on par for what we've spent. And people bang about that. Also, we've made money back. So obviously, Declan Rice money, we took that. So it wasn't 400 million just out of our pocket because, in essence, we've got 100 million of that back, 125 million of that back from Skamaka and Declan Rice. Some have been and gone. Some of the players have been and gone as well. So, yeah, I think it is. It's been a bit of a. Well, I said it again, you look at Fulham. Fulham have only been in the Premier League for 2 seasons. They've got a better squad than us. Going to be a major, major rehaul. Most importantly, is to get the new National Express in. Very good. Do you think Moyes has nailed the final coffin? Yes. You will not see Maxwell Corner in a West Ham shirt again. I don't think so, unless everyone's gone. The one thing I've noticed Moyes isn't a leader. I feel the players respect him, but don't respect him. If that makes sense. To be honest, it's the same. Again, I don't. Yeah, again, we see that from. We do see that. I mean, he went. Did you notice today? Yesterday, he went in with a black jumper today. Not yesterday. Not a tracksuit. He goes light for light with who we're playing. He knows Marco Silva is going to be in a black sort of in a proper sort of sweatshirt. He did the same. There's the same thing with Pep. When Pep will turn up, he'll be in a smart. He'll look smart. He'll put he'll go in the black jumper again. I think, again, I don't know because we don't see training and stuff like that. And I think maybe the fact is he's an older manager. He's not a continental manager, so maybe and we're not getting him, but maybe someone like Xabi Alonso has that sort of, what's the word, respect from a recent playing time as well. I think Moyes probably gets respect from the likes of JWP and maybe the more Premier League experienced players, but maybe not so. I can't really see how he could be on the same wavelength or communicate with a Lucas Paqueta. What's he got? Where is the? There's usually a common ground. If you're not as common ground, then you act like a father figure, like Pep or Klopp does. I don't think he has that type of relationship. It's quite an old school manager player relationship, and some people will respect that, but some people want the arm round them, want that Klopp, that Arteta, that Pep sort of like father figure. Lost plot on the bus as if he had a decent captain, would have called the situation. That middle finger was just like a reaction. And we was fortunate / unfortunate enough to capture it. Looks like it's Krell sums up what the rest of the squad have been treated like. Not necessarily, but maybe the people that are brought in. Krell's never going to get any game time, really. But I agree. It's the way you talk about it. Look to appoint Silva as a head coach and bringing Pereira with him as a Paqueta replacement. Whatever happens, we still a rebuild. You're totally right. I wanted to punch a telly. Be careful what you wish for. Agreed. Matchday, a little click of players. Yeah, exactly. Same as TalkSport. As good as Kudus is, he needs to sort it off so people can find a pass to set him free. Yeah, he always seems to be in a slightly, again, we're just splitting hairs now, but he does always seem to be in a slightly awkward position when he wants a pass. Has a Paqueta deal already been done and he's just down tools? Don't know. We don't know, do we? Or maybe they pulled out and he's on a strop. We don't know. There's so much wrong, but people want to pin absolutely everything, and it makes us look daft. That's my point, Toby. I think sometimes it's not. Although the flip side is the buck stops with the manager, doesn't it? Really, but actually, some things there are some levels of responsibility people need to take. Yesterday was the worst game I've seen this year live. We need Kudus at best number 10. Once Loyes will be we need a change. Moyes has taken us so far. One never to doesn't know how to up coach players into different positions. Sometimes he has English Yardie. As much as I agree with most of that, I look at someone like Fornals, who he completely changed from a number 10 into a box-to-box midfielder to a left wing. So I know what you're trying to get at. I think what's going to be interesting is to see how people, how much time people will give the new head coach. Almost said manager then, but it was head coach. How much time? Because this will be a real, it's going to be from the ground up job, and next year might have a shit season. But will the fans give them time? There'll be a percentage of fans, unfortunately, now who I don't think will. And that's to the detriment of what we need as a project. This is a project now. You're right. He steadied the ship. He's got us. He's let. If he leaves in the summer, I say if because he could sign. Watch Nick explode. He's left us in a better place than when he joined us. I think that's fair enough to say. From a league perspective, from a setup perspective, don't forget when he and again, it's almost a retrospective, but when he joined, Pellegrini left with Huselos with the cupboard bare. No scouting network, no setup, no nothing, no leads for good players. He had to bring everything up they'd start from scratch in essence. I think from academy perspective, you brought in, we've now got an academy which is all very much a West Ham academy now, which was there or thereabouts, but bringing people like Kenny in and Kevin into the 18s, and Potsy was still there and stuff. I think we've got a scouting network now. So we've got a recruitment network now. We've got a director of football now. We've got a, head of analytics as well now. We've been in Europe 3 times. We've won a trophy. So I think he's leaving. Well, then people go look at the squad and stuff like that. I agree, but maybe in terms of the setup as a club, I think it's more set up better. He's leaving it better than he left. When he came in, if that makes sense. I think now people will criticise. That's just my opinion. Not saying it's amazing, but there we go. One thing to remember is that head coach is very straightforward to replace. Totally agree. Do we need a head coach experience in the Premier League? Do we? I don't know. Yardia don't want to speak up, but converting players. Let pick the David. You need to donate £1 to the Iron Sporting Fan food bags, please. And I want photo proof. Thank you, because you said manager. I'm excited to see the back of better days come. 100 apathetic. I honestly feel like walking away. It's my one consistent. Feel gutted. He's got a weird thing with left wingers. Always seems to play cams there. That's always been the case, even when he was at Everton. Nothing's changed. You just put Tim Cahill out there, Stephen Pienaar. He was more of a winger, but Cahill would go there. Leon Osmond would always play there. Right, let's go through some. There's loads of comments. Hopefully, new coach, new managers, new players. We'll see. Someone better show them more stubborn than Garino. Only player we have that thinks about getting stuck in is Soufal. Yeah, I think he's just a bit old now for a player in that position. It's a stand up between Steindon. Tim has pretty much won after yesterday. Can't see anyone to continue with our current setup. Ambition says get a coach next. We are a marshmallow. We are that soft. Fab's brilliant. Totally agree. Who'd you pick? Not sure if it was Souček. I'd give it to Souček. I really would. What do we want as West Ham fans? We want players to fight for us. We want players to, bleed for us. Souček has bled for us. It's 3 or 4 games in a row he would cut up because he put his head where he shouldn't put his head. That's what I want. I want someone who's, and leading, leads from example. He literally puts his body on the line. Yes, he's not the best technical player at all. But in terms of effort, he leads from the line, not necessarily the captains are the best players on the pitch. They're the ones who will fight. They're the ones who give you desire. And I think he would. Not sure missing out won't be a good thing. What worries me, though, in terms of money we can spend and profitability, in terms of what we can actually spend for this rebuild job. That's the issue. You need a coach that is player's buddy, but firm. Yeah, I mean, that was always a criticism of Slav, wasn't it? He was too much of a player's friend. And you need to sort of try and get a good balance. When you play crap because the club puts out a nice to see how professional. We get tonked on Thursday and finish low in 8th. That's pretty much time for him. Yeah, possibly. Russ, do you think we will see Phillips in a West Ham shirt? There's one game he definitely won't play, which is the last game of the season. I don't think so. Unless the only way he'll play is if it's away to someone. I don't think we'll see him at West Ham, at London Stadium. We can keep being told to be careful what we We wish to win the Europa and finished, which means Moyes keeps his job. Let that sink in for a minute. What in hoping, but Moyes will want to say, I told you so, he was worth it. Thursday will be interesting. The fans who want Moyes to stay won't. Russ, I can't boast about. Best signings Moyes made: Souček, Soufal, and Bowen. Mourinho would get it right, but then people would get pissed off him. How true do you think those rumours are? Well, there's no doubt that he's on the list, because the way I see it is there are tiers of lists. There's options. Tim Stein has options. First, second, third options. Now, there's different, and in terms of projects as well. realistically, in terms of what we're trying to do or what Tim wants to achieve, for me, Mourinho wouldn't fit that setup. For me, it's him. You need someone like maybe an Arnie Slot or Julian Sangalese manager, or because he's not a head coach, he's a manager there, or even a Will Steele, or even a Michael Carrick. I would get a younger manager who's going to coach. And maybe a younger manager is the way to go, because they have a natural rapport with the players because they're of a similar age. Eddie Howe at Newcastle, Arteta at Arsenal. These guys are not dinosaurs. They're not massively older than the players themselves. So there's that level of mutual respect already. But I don't know. I think I'm not saying, I reckon he's on the list, but I reckon he's not high up on the list. In the same way Thomas Tuchel's probably on the list, in the way that Kovac is probably on the list, in the way that what's name from Dortmund, former West Ham assistant coach, is probably Tishic, he's probably on the list as well. There's probably a list that big. There's loads of options, but he's picking the right one for what we need to do. Afternoon, Audi. Hope you well, mate. Saw nothing that changes my mind. It's time to go. Amount of fans saying their kids don't want to watch makes me really sad. Don't mind having a rough average season. I know but that's the thing. I know we say that now, but when your mates who are an Arsenal fan are digging you out next year because we're 15th and they're up the top and Tottenham, then I know we also. Right, we'll let this one go. If it means If that's the case, we'll let this season go now because we know that. So I totally get that, but I think when you're in it, people will quickly have a word and get annoyed. Russell captain does not need an armband. I totally agree. Make Bowen captain. I just don't think Bowen's got that. Do you know what I mean? That's like putting Harry Kane captain. Just don't get it. I'd rather have Jude Bellingham captain or Deck captain of the England squad than Harry Kane. Tim says it's a 4 to 5 year project to get this team competitively, and it's a continual project. I think people say, I say, you make the team once, is it done? Every year you have to rebuild. You have to take pieces out, put more pieces in. But I think to have a full rebuild is probably right. Tuchel as captain, he wouldn't even get in the as a new coach. Well, there we go. How much do you think we will spend the summer? I don't know how much money we've probably got. We're in a decent enough spot, at the moment because of Europe. We're in a decent enough spot in terms of the new for next season PSR. But we will have to sell, I think. We're likely this Paqueta's going. I think one of Aged or Zuma, if not both, will go. A few players off the books as well. A few players will offer new deals to. And looking to promote maybe some of the under-21s in as well. So George and people like that might get a bit more game time. Real teams have 3 captains. Yep. Will School is too young. So I know I'm so far behind. It's like a stealth. God bless him. We need a style. We need players that can hold and pass the ball. We need Paqueta playing next to the likes of. We don't need it's like a Rolls Royce with a Skoda. But Rob, you do need that Skoda though. That's what I mean. You're not going to buy 11, Paquetas because Christ will be first to match the day. Sometimes we've got tanked 10-0. Sometimes we win 10-0. But every side has that sort of need that grit in each side. If you don't get to it, but if Paqueta gets suspended, it'll be a team rebuild. It'll be in Europe, gives us less games, less pressure on a new team. Makes us less attractive though, Mark, to a new player coming in if you're not in Europe. We may need to get worse before we get better, but Moyes limits our development and can't get us any further. There we go. I think it's proven. I think it's safe to say it's proven that in its current guise you can't go and successfully be in a position to compete on multiple fronts with such a small squad. I think, and I think, as I said, I was reading, I think Rashane on Athletic did a whole piece about hitting the ceiling, and I was talking to Anton about it, and then I saw the piece came out, and it was like, maybe Rashane nicked the idea, but anyway, I love him. But I think we have hit a ceiling. It's like it's incremental steps for me now. And I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. End of the day, we've got no say in what happens. Realistically, how much of it is. I think it'll be clear to see when the new head coach signs his deal, who picked him, or who had the most say in who picked him. Because if Jose Mourinho rocks up, we know that wasn't a Tim Steidlen deal. If it is, I don't know, it's not going to be Ruben Amorim, but if it's someone like that, or Roger Smith, or someone who is in a current position who isn't cheap, so someone you have to pay compensation for, then that is basically a Tim deal, in it, really. We'll go a few minutes and I've got to go. Ray, hope you're well. Safe bet is Potter. Can't believe some fans telling me. The only thing about Potter is he left Brighton and Brighton became a better side. He went to Chelsea, made them a worse side. And ever since, he hasn't been linked to a single Premier League job. When Palace was looking for a new manager, his name hasn't come up. Steve Cooper's name's come up. Failed Nottingham Forest manager, but not him. And that worries me. Because if we're all thinking the same about what a great head coach Graham Potter can be, then surely he'll have been linked with 4 or 5 jobs. And now he's linked with the Man United job. I don't know, mate. I genuinely don't know. I could pick a number. £80 million. Don't know if it's true or not. Players who use both feet, play forward and hold the ball with the players, but doesn't change the style and continues to play the same style with the same players. I agree. He does. But I think there's. That's what I'm saying. Every player that comes through that door is not going to be. He's not going to be a beautiful player. You do need a balance. And it's a balance that we don't even see as fans. If I go back to the early mid 2000s, early 2000s, 2005, 2006, and the type of people we've interviewed, people who are actually playing in the side, people like Zamora, thinking people like Conch, Effrington, Ashton, these type of players, they all talk very, very in highest regards to Hayden Mullins, a player that very few West Ham fans would pick in their 11s. But you need that to allow the likes of Effrington to shine, to Yossi Benayoun to sign. You do need a Thomas Suchek in there to give a little bit more for Paqueta, so he doesn't do less of the defensive work. So you've got to have a balance, but that's when a decent team is put together, a squad is put together to enable you to put that balance together. I think we need to make sure the 11 is strong next season. The league is the only way to Europe. Would like to qualify via domestic cup. Wouldn't we all, Michael? We've done that for the last 40 years. This year's going to be, this is never is. And that's why we're all delusional as West Ham fans. Hopefully Tim picks new. Well, I think we'll see. Has been the most frustrating. He's trained the love I had for football, not just for West Ham. Interesting. Did you, and in the same way, and again, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. Did you celebrate last summer winning the Europa Conference League? I'm sure you did. So although there is as a whole, did you go to European games? So yes, there's going to, almost as a retrospective, I think there's going to be definitely pros and cons from the Moyes era, and for many it'd be more cons than pros. And that is an opinion, as people's opinions. People like Peter Jones in the chat, massive Moyes fan for what he's been, and he's been a season holder for donkey's years as well. So you're going to get different opinions, and no one's right, no one's wrong. That's the thing. It's when people think they're right. That's what winds me up. When people think about they are 100% right in what they're saying all the time, that's what winds me up. No appreciation for other people's opinions. Who would be your choice in order? It's a great list. If money was no object, probably De Zerbi, I'd say, because he ticks a lot of boxes. But we're not going to get him because he's now tucked up. He'll wait for the Man City job to come up now. After that, probably for me, I like Amorim, but I think Slot to me offers a bit more personality, which I think is what you need for the Premier League. You have to be a bit of a personality, I think, on the bench. Fonseca's a bit of a quiet man, although he does randomly turn up in Zorro masks. Kieran McKenna, I think, is a great manager, but maybe it's a bit too early for him. I don't know. Great list, though. I'd rather a scabby dog than Moyes. Anyone is an improvement. Why do you think people will be relegated? Why do you think relegated at Moyes? Pellegrini played the worst to keep drain the team confidently when it matters. Moyes, when it matters, too defeatist. I think people are. I think that the general consensus, AS, is for the people who are. There's two different types of people in the world. There's people who are risky, and people who are risk averse. Now, it's fair to say that West Ham, as a unit, if I'm talking about the board, are risk adverse. They I think every year they budget for a 10th or 11th finish, I think. So as long as we hit that, we're at our budget. Now, I think the fact is, you're right. Pellegrini, if it weren't for them sacking him and bringing in Moyes, we could have well been relegated under Pellegrini. Proven West Ham, proven winner, won the Premier League. We spent 300 odd million quid on him, didn't we? We brought in the likes of Anderson, we brought in the likes of Haller, we brought in Fornals, we brought in Fabianski, brought some some good players and some players who didn't play it very well for us, and we almost went down. And that's the risk you're going to take, whoever you bring in. You can bring in Kieran McKenna, fantastic young coach, but he might crumble under being the weight of expectation of being the head coach at West Ham. Arnie Slot might not. His style of football might not work in the Premier League. He might not be able to adjust. Everything's going to be a calculated risk. Same as Moyes. If Moyes signs a new deal as head coach, you could have player mutiny. You could have we could be a team full of Harry Maguires and McTominays. Probably wouldn't go down, but I mean, it'll be just as exciting as the football is now. So everything's going to be. I just think there's so many if buts and maybes. Mullins was class. At one point when he pushed into CEO, David Zuma will be going. Went past medical. I mean, I think he would. Something like Saudi Pro League, being Muslim as well. There is a premium for Muslim-based players out there. It is a lesser schedule. And I mean, there's games. I mean, that game against Tottenham, he turned up he had bloody Son in his pocket. Did not see that playing. So he put a bid in for a 30 million Algerian international. Is this a joke? We'll talk about that later on. We haven't put a bid in for him, but we talk about that. But we do talk about him. If you're talking about the striker from Union Saint-Gilles, yes, possibly. What else we got? It's not so much poor recruitment combined with the aging process means our floor is sinking. Yes, kind of like that. Must be bored every week, winning all the time. Indeed. Maybe chill him out, maybe. The final two, we were saying the balls shit out. Yeah, but we still had better times than we probably had individually, not collectively, but you know what I mean. FFP, nonsense and lies, same story every window. But then, Neil, you've seen Everton got 10 points deduction. Yes, it got reduced to 6. They've had another 2. That scared the shit out of everyone in January, mate. It did. And not just from West Ham perspective, it was like we spent a tenth on the players, the amount of players, than we spent last, the Premier League in the previous years. Come and go. I'm still living about Moyes releasing Lanzini. Yeah, but he wanted to go. And in the same way, I don't want players. Yeah, I'm gutted that he let Craig Dawson go, but he went for his family. And Lanzini wanted to go back home. I can't blame him. I'd like a manager who takes responsibility for the team and not blame everyone else. Strongly dislike apologists. We should point the finger, but all the problems are pictured down to Moyes. I've said before, in the summer, Sullivan had three options. He could have kept Moyes on and offered him a new deal. He could have kept Moyes on and let him run out his contract, or he could have let him go and get a new manager in. Three options. He picked the worst one. Even if you give him Moyes a new deal, we knew we could then see development. We could see what's going to happen. We could see the fact that there'd be lots of, next 2-3 years, planning ahead. At the moment, nothing. I think if he goes, as long as we keep the running stats, it'll be okay. The one thing he's brought to the club, which I would hate to lose. I agree. Don't want Moyes gone at all. I can't stand this football. I don't care about Europe. I just want to see good football. I think, yeah, okay, no, fair enough. Is the reason I'd like a more balanced manager, not crazy attacking, no fault with defence, not defensive, no fault with attack, or a breath of fresh air. Today shows it can be done by a progressive manager. Why do we not do pre-contract agreement? I have no idea. He only brings on the youth when we are beat. Yeah, I still think that. I just don't think physically our boys, our academy, are strong enough to play in the Premier. And again, it's no slight. Technically, they're phenomenal, but yeah, enough pulling on your emotional heartstrings with the cup win. True progression cannot accrue until Moyes. How much more visual and statistic do we need? Well, I said that. I said, Max. I said, actually, if you look at it, yes, he's given us some great times, but I think we have hit our ceiling. I think we have, and it's whether it's now the decision of the board, really. If they are happy with the ceiling, then they carry on regardless. If they want to break into that or have a chance to break into that, then it doesn't mean a change. We've got nothing to do with that, Max, have we? Not really. But as I said, I think we've hit a ceiling. Same as 2 years ago, we got to the semi-finals of the Europa League. Now, we've won something which is lovely. First thing I've ever won in my life at West Ham. Probably might well be the only thing we've won, but I've seen it. So I can never. So I'll always be grateful to Moyes for that. Took us as far as he could, done well, but we should always have won that with the team we played. Transfer tactics have killed us. Time to go. Shake hands. Goodbye. In the summer, we need a beast in the middle of the park and a Souček as impact sub. New CF and Antonio. Who else? I think we need a left back replacement for Emerson when he's injured, and right back. Brand new right back, and probably another 2 centre halves, I'd say. Has over 1,000. It's his only trophy, isn't it? In 1,000 games, he's only got one trophy, and that was the conference trophy. So look, it doesn't cover up stats and lies, but it's fair enough to say that he's come in and he's steadied the ship. He steadied the ship. Let's be honest. He has steadied the ship. And last year was a bit of a weird year, but apart from that, the other 2 years, a couple of top 7 spots. But I think that's probably it now. That's that. Well, that's not it. But that's where we're going to go at the moment, unless we see what happens next. Europe is great, but all the league is killing us. Another season of that, we will go down. I don't think we'd go down. But I think we would stagnate or not be renewing it until he's confirmed. What about anyone else? I liked Alan Kerbishley when he had Tevez. If he had money, he got now. Kerbishley was a quite boring manager as well, let's be honest. Anyway, I've got to go. It's an hour and 10. Shit. Anyway, keep an eye. Hammer's headlines. We'll put it out in a minute. We talk about the gentleman that's he's been released. That's good. We talk about the gentleman we have apparently, potentially, possibly, who knows, put in a bid for £13 million bid from Union St. Gallis, Mohamed Amora. But whether we have or not is another question. But it's someone we've been heavily linked with, that's for sure. And until then, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. Don't forget to give it a like. Also, tonight we have got the Academy show. If you really love the Academy, like you say you do, watch the Academy show later on tonight. We'll talk about all the news that's been affecting the Academy in the last week or so. Take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. Come on, you irons. Irons.